and I'm back. Sorry for that. I just felt it'd be much easier to have two separate videos. One just for the camp, make my life easier because there's a long list of names, which is awesome, by the way. And then two, I can talk about what the real question is about this live, okay? And the main topic of the video is overnight success real? Is overnight success real? And that's what I want to talk about. There's a couple other things as well. But just remember, if you're here and you want to learn about the camp that we're doing next week, 100% free, you need to go to my other live, and that has the first or second set of names. And there was a video that I released before that was a bunch of other names for free as well that are, or I should say, participating in the free camp. There may be another list that they give me. I don't know. I just know that that's what they've sent me to announce for people that have been accepted into the program for the 100% free preseason camp. I do have a question though. When was the last time your club or your cash cow, whatever you want to call it, your Ponzi scheme, did something 100% free for you guys? I want to know. Okay, second thing, right? Check this out. Okay, so like I said, I want to talk about this overnight success conundrum that people have said. Like, no joke, I had a guy ask me probably about a week ago, maybe less, hey Kyle, you're an overnight success. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you've gained a lot of popularity and whatnot because of your videos. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I understand, but why do you say I'm an overnight success? He's like, well, you just blew up because of like a couple of the videos that you posted. And I said, yeah, but you're kind of missing the whole point. I'm like, how do I explain this to you? Like, I had to go through years of experience to get to the point to give you this information for free, as the example, right? For me to be able to tell you all the stuff that I'm telling you, I had to go through years of experience. So one of them was going through the entire system. I went through the entire system as a player and went through the entire system, played every level of youth, played college, played semi-pro, played on the U.S. national futsal team. Like, I had to go through all that as a player just to get to this point, and then I had to go through 9 years, this is going to be my 9th year, coaching and training. And like, I tell people, my first real job, like real job as a coach, I coached at a local club in Orlando, 2016, I think it was. And bro, I made $300 a month. I was basically working for free. Like, I didn't make any money. And I was training 3 to 4 days a week, if not more, plus games on the weekend, plus tournaments. And I made $300. Like, you got to sacrifice a lot. That was for a cash cow, by the way. But you have to sacrifice a lot to be a overnight success. So, like, yeah, I mean, to Esteban's point, it's not real. It's just, you had to get to a certain level behind the scenes to then have this explosion of growth. So like, somebody said, well, your first video got over 1 million views. And I'm like, I know, because again, I had to go through all this stuff. And then on the second side of that, no longer be afraid of the consequences. And I'm like, I would always complain, and I don't want to use the word complain. I would always like discuss behind the scenes about the problems with youth soccer, but I never like was openly public about it. And then I made a decision one day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start throwing this out there and see what happens. And the first video I did got over 1 million views, and people are like, oh, well, now you're overnight success. Well, no, I had to go through over 30 years of doing this to become an overnight success. So that's why I say, like, there's no such thing, and I agree with Esteban, that there is no such thing as an overnight success. You got to hustle for that, bro. Like, the thing is, like, when I had that first coaching job, again, I was training 4 nights a week with one team, and if you do the math on that, I mean, somebody could break that down, but I'm making probably, what is that, like, $9 a practice? That's how much money I was making for an hour and a half to 2 hours of training. So maybe even less than $9. Plus then you got to add in games that I was traveling to on my own dime. I didn't even get paid for it extra. And then tournaments. Like, it was a complete L. But like, what you need to take away from this is sometimes you have to take a risk. Whether that's in the game as a player or as somebody in life. Like, you have to take risks sometimes and do stuff, for example, for free. So like, great example is, and I put this on one of my tweets, is like, somebody asked me too, like, how did you start working with the pros? And I'm like, you got to take a risk. Like, so it happened to work out that a networking thing popped up for me in my favor. One of the pros came to the facility. Benji, I'm very happy that he gave me the chance to train him, and we've done, I don't know, man, probably 70 practices. I mean, I'm just putting a number off the top of my head, maybe not that many, but close. And anyways, he played for Orlando City, and now he's playing in Portugal for a very big club, and in the top division of Portugal, which is awesome. And like, anyways, the point is, like, he came into our indoor facility because he was coming to do like a little speaking thing for the kids. And then I was just talking to him. I went up and started talking to him about it. And then the next thing I know, he happened to drop a line that he wanted extra training. And I'm like, well, if you want to do technique, which is what you're asking or saying, then dude, give me a run. And you'll see, like, that's all I do. He gave me the run and the rest is history. So like, sometimes you have to take a risk, one, and sometimes you got to do stuff for free or close to free to learn and gain experience, whether that's as a player or that's as in job or coach or whatever. Like, sometimes you got to take that risk because, like, again, long story short, because I made that decision to have that conversation with Benji, it's now led me to train somebody like Luis Nani. Dude, like, I used to watch this dude on TV. He played for my favorite team. My favorite team ever is Manchester United. Like, and my favorite player ever is Paul Scholes. It might now be Luis Nani, which is funny, but my favorite player ever is Paul Scholes. Like, I love that dude to death. Like, from a player perspective, you may or may not know who that is, but he played for his whole career for Manchester United. I love that guy, the way he played. I always tried to, like, frame my game around his. But anyways, like, dude, I was a kid watching Nani play. Like, I think he joined United in 07, so I was, like, 14. I'm watching this kid play. Or when I say kid, this guy play, and I'm like, dude, like, I just trained him. Like, that's crazy. But again, it's because, like, you have to take risks in your life to have success. If you always play the safe card, you're never going to go anywhere. So, like, that's so important for people to understand because it does not happen without taking risks. Like, if you always play the safe card, you're not going to get anywhere out of it. And again, this goes from a player perspective. So this is why I always say, like, if you stay inside the box and you do, I need to write this down because it's just hit me, and you do what the system wants you to do, you will not find success if you don't know how to navigate it. So I'm going to say, I need to write that down. If you, let me tweet it out, or let me write it out. If you do, you do what the system wants you to do, you will not find success. All right, so I wrote that down. Okay, so because, like, here's the thing. Like, so let me expand on that point, right? So, like, I've said this multiple times. Our system, the U.S. youth soccer system, is failing kids and families. Like, they don't educate you. They don't train you. They don't teach you. They just take your money and you're going to spend upwards of $100K in 10 years. And it's probably going to increase, with inflation and everything that's going on in the day currently. But, like, that means it's only going to get harder for you. So the point of that is you have to think outside the box. Like, literally outside the box. You have to think and be different to find success in this country. Because again, if you do what the system wants you to do, you will not find success. Because the system is not designed for you to find success. Like, you may or may not have read the Christian Pulisic blueprint. Like, when he first came out as this superstar player at Dortmund, they put like a blueprint out that kind of like walk through what he's done. And like, I don't remember word for word what it said, but one of the things was like they took him out of this country. Like, hey, he's got to go. And I watched a video on Instagram probably 3 weeks ago that said the same thing. Like, he got turned down by MLS academies and all this stuff. And like, the dad built a network. He was a coach, built a network, got to different clubs. Like, I know he trained at Chelsea. I think he trained at Barcelona as well. And then he gets over to Germany, and there might be something else outside of that, right? But he ended up getting there and getting through the door. And boom, the rest is history. Now here's Christian Pulisic, right? So again, to do those things, you have to have a network. You have to do things outside the system. So when I say the box, I'm saying the system. The system is the box, and they're trying to keep everybody in the box. And you got to go outside of the system to do that, or at least think outside of it. And you got to act and think differently. So Gordon said, can we can we set up a network outside of Norm? I don't really understand your question, Gordon. Can you expand on that? And then, do you think the issue is more to do with USSF, United States Soccer Federation, not to do with the club? Okay, good question. So here's the deal. Do you want me to be truthful or do you want me to lie to you? I don't even know how to say your Instagram name. I'm going to just say Rata. Do you want me to lie to you or do you want me to tell you the truth? Because it's a good question. I want to know what you think of the U.S. coaching license process. Reyes, somebody asked me this earlier. I'm about to take one. Let me finish the course and see if they pass me. And then I'll let you know. I already have my opinion. It's already formed. So I don't think it's going to change. But let me go through this course and then I'll give you my opinion. So I'll finish in December because I'm literally starting in like 2 weeks. So let me do that. I've already paid all the money for it. I'm already planned the trip and all that stuff. Like I need to go there and do that. First thing is, I want to be honest about it, but I don't want to negatively impact me. So if I didn't pay the money for it, then okay, but I did. Okay, so Raja, let me answer your question, right? So truth, because I currently run a club that's trying to make it affordable for kids. Okay, cool. So you're trying to do the same thing I am, right? Okay. So yeah, at the end of the day, the whole thing goes back to USF. Sorry, I call it US Soccer. So it goes back to US Soccer. And I put out tweets yesterday about this. And it was basically 30 tweets. There might be more, or not 30 tweets, but 30 points. Like, there are no rules. There are no guidelines. There are no regulations. Like, there's nothing from them. All you have to do is affiliate with one of their governing bodies, and then you are under the umbrella of US Soccer. So yeah, at the end of the day, the fault, in my opinion, goes to them. The secondary fault goes to parents, to be honest with you. That's my opinion. And then this relates back to cash cows or clubs in general. Like I have a club, it sounds like you have a club, right? Like you, as a club owner, and I'm one of them, you have two options. YouTube and Instagram, you have two options. Option one, which is by far the easiest, by the way, and the funny thing is, you will make so much more money as if you cash cow it. If you cash cow your club, you will make so much more money. Maybe that will change in the future shortly because of all the stuff that me and Identity Hybrid are coming out and posting. But like, if you were to make a club right now and you cash cowed it, you would make so much more money right now than you would trying to do what I'm doing, and it sounds like what you're doing. Like, I always try to put the kids first with our program. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. We always try to put the kids first, okay? Are we going to make mistakes? Yes, we're going to make mistakes. Do we charge? Yes, we charge. We also have a program, by the way, because people always ask, well, if you charge, So one, pay to play exists. No other organization outside MLS academies can receive compensation for formation. I actually need to give you guys that so you can see it. So let me write that down. The structure comp for formation. Let me write that down so I don't forget. And then the levels. I forget the exact word I need to use, but it'll be fine. So like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's that. So like, you can cash cow or you can try and develop. And develop is the hardest thing, bro. Like, we always, like, I have partners and they're always like, oh, why don't you just cash cow? I'm like, I don't want to cash cow, bro. Like, I don't want to be like everybody else because that means you don't care about the kids. Like, cash cow means you don't care about the kids. Or what you try to do is, and I put this out, you maximize revenue by dropping the value back to parents and players by minimizing what they get back. So you give them shit training, low-level competition, because that's what most parents want anyways. They want to just win and post on social media. So, yeah, that Gordon said it right there. So, all the clubs in Vegas are just about money. Dude, it's the same thing anywhere else because it's easier to be a cash cow. Like, I don't think people understand how easy it is to be a cash cow. You don't have to do anything. You promise kids are going to play soccer. You give them shit training. They train 2 or 3 days a week. You put them in the shittiest of tournaments possible. And then they win a lot and parents are happy. For the average person, it's fine. And you make way more money, bro. Like, again, there's this club my friend's now working for. Dude, they have 12,000 kids. They're revenuing at least, and this is on the lowest of low scales, by the way, $20 million a year. One club is revenuing off of 12,000 kids. What? Like, that's crazy. But they don't have a curriculum. They don't have a development structure. They're just bringing in as many kids as possible, and they're just dominating the market. That's what a cash cow is. I don't blame them, because you make way more money. There's less headache for you, and you just do what everybody else wants you to do, and that's win at the lowest level possible. So, yeah, it's hard, and then it's just a constant grind, bro, and it's just over and over again. It's extremely frustrating. Gordon, you said you are having an issue accessing my plan. Which plan? I don't know what that means. What percentage of pro players didn't play club soccer in U.S.? What percentage of pro players didn't play club soccer in U.S.? I would say they probably all played club soccer at some point. How long would be the question? So again, you look at Christian Pulisic. He was out of the country by 13 or 14 years old, maybe even 12. I have to remember, or look at the playbook, or look at his blueprint. And so he played club. He played for PA Classics. They provided a platform apparently to help develop him. And then he made the decision to leave because he was not getting the looks that he wanted. So when you don't get the looks that you want, you have to make decisions. So again, that's why I keep saying, if you want to be different and you want to be bigger than what the cash cows and the system will allow you to be, then you need to leave the system. You need to get outside the box. The system's inside this box. You're stuck in here. You need to get out. If that makes sense. So you have to be different. And if you're not being different, then how are you going to get to the next level? That's what people don't understand. Here's a great thing, because somebody asked me, Kyle, how do you gauge value for a cash cow? Or the value that they're giving back to you? And, here's the thing, two things. One is, if you, I just drew a blank on the first one, but the second one I couldn't remember. The second one would be, if you need to pay for a private trainer, so you need to pay for a private trainer, it's a cash cow. If they're just scrimmaging the whole time, it's a cash cow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So let's say you put your kid in club, okay, and you go, man, the training sucks. And you go, well, for my son to get better or my daughter to get better, I have to pay for a private trainer. You have to pay for a private trainer, then that's a cash cow. So I'll give it to you this way. When I first started Prospects, before it became High Soccer Prospects, we were called Florida Prospects. And we offered 5 days a week of training. Most of our kids that played for us, I would probably say 95%, never did private training. Why? Because I knocked out all the stuff they needed to do. We had one day that was speed and agility and coordination training. We had another day, we had 3 days of just technique training. And then we had one day that was games. I was knocking out all the eggs in one basket. We were very small. We only had 3 teams, so it was tiny. But the point was, our kids did not private train. Because we had them, if they came to training, they didn't need extra training. You see what I'm saying? They got everything they needed through the 5 days of training. If they decided to miss training, then yeah, they need to go buy private training. But if you do what you need to do, or if your club offers you what you need to offer and you take advantage of it, which again 99% don't, but I'm just trying to relay that back to you, then you're fine. But if you don't get that, then yeah, you're screwed. I don't know, man. Gordon, I can't add any value to that conversation. One, because I haven't been watching the games, to be honest. I need to. But two, I don't like to add value to something or add my opinion to something I don't know anything about. So I'm not watching the games. I can't attest to what's going on at that level. So I don't know. I can't do that. And I advise that for parents. Especially for example, I'll watch basketball, okay? And I don't know jack shit about basketball. I don't know jack shit about American football. I don't know jack shit about baseball. I don't open my mouth when I see something that I don't agree with. Like, so for example, I'm watching basketball and there's a guy wide open. I'm not screaming, pass it to LeBron, pass it to LeBron. Dude, I'm just watching the game. Like, okay, great example. I watch, so like I watched the NBA Finals. I don't remember who it was. I think it was like the Celtics, if I remember correctly. I'm watching the game and whatever, and I'm like I'm just enjoying the sport. And I'm not sitting there adding commentary about what the players on the court should be doing. One, I don't know jack shit about basketball for me to even add value to it. Like, I know that there's 5 players on the court. I don't even know all their positions. I know that you can score from, I guess there's 3 ways you can score. You can get a 1 point, a 2 point, and a 3 point. So, like, I don't know how the game works. So I can't be adding my value, and value is not the right word. I can't be adding my opinion to something I don't know anything about. This is a huge thing for me. I don't talk about things I don't know. I shut my mouth, and I just observe. That's what I like to do. I recommend you adopt that, and I should write that down because that's huge. Let me write that down because otherwise that's another damn good thing, bro. Like, just I don't speak. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't speak. MLS or ECNL coach. Are you pointing a gun to my head? And when you say MLS what? Because for me, there's 2 MLS. There's MLS Next, which is pay to play. And then there's MLS Academies, which are basically free. Except you have to pay with... except you'd have to pay for rights in the future, long story short. So you just need to understand that. But if you're asking me the difference between MLS Next and ECNL, shit. Are you pointing a gun to my head? I'm like joking, but I'm serious. If I had to pick one between the 2 of them, I'm going to tell you the truth. You ready? You ready? You ready, lazy? Neither one. Again, if you read my playbook or listen to my playbook, my son would not touch ECNL or MLS Next. Not at all. If it was MLS Academy, yes. And I feel like it's a good position for my son, yes. So, but MLS Next, pay to play, no. No, I would not touch MLS Next pay to play with a... I would not touch MLS Next pay to play. I don't even know what I would call that. I just wouldn't touch it. Like, I would, same thing with ECNL, I wouldn't touch it. Like, they're just so big cash cows, it's stupid. I coach from MLS Next, and they are free of charge except uniforms. Well, that's great. All the MLS Next I know that are not MLS Academies are not free. So if your club is doing that, that's awesome. I think that's tremendous. But, yeah, I mean, we have multiple MLS Next clubs near me. I would not do it. Nope, would not touch it. And I've never seen a free MLS Next except for an MLS Academy. And the only reason why the academies are free is because they get compensation for formation so they can get money for developing talent. So you shit, you want me to actually answer that question? Soccer squad, have you listened to anything I just said so far? So at U13 ECL, no bueno for 2K. I mean, I can't tell you what you should do. I just need you to understand that. Like, I can't say do this or do that. What I can tell you is what I would do. I would never touch ECNL or MLS Next. Would not touch it. Not touching it. Just, there's no way. Like, what I would do in that situation is if my son was 12, I think you said? U13, so yeah, 12. Okay, so my son was U13. What I would do, I would find a way to have him play, probably if he has the level, play 2 years up. That's what I would do. And then if he's doing that, then by the time he turns 15 years old, he's ready to go play adults, hopefully. And like, again, if you read or listened to my playbook, if you've read or listened to my playbook, I'm giving you all my brain space. Like, all the information that I have in my brain, I'm giving it to you. Like, and 3 people have asked me, well, is that what you would actually do? Yes. if this was my son going through this, it is exactly what I would do. Not even a question. As of everything that I know right now, almost 31 years of experience going through this bullshit. The complete... I was going to swear really bad. I'm not going to. The complete bullshit system of USU soccer. That is the exact roadmap I would make for my son. The playbook that I have. And it's going to be a name change when I get the actual book. But yeah, I mean, I'm not touching MLS Next, Pay to Play, or ECNL ever. Like, I hope to be very soon having a conversation with a, because I got introduced by a third party to, let me rephrase it. There's a person that lives very close to me that is one of the main directors of ECNL. Like, and I'm not just talking about like the state. I'm talking about the entire country. And I can't wait. I was like, dude, please let me go speak to this lady. I just want to hear the bullshit that comes out of their mouth. Like, it's just like, what? Like, here's the thing about ECNL, okay? Honest truth. This is my biggest issue with it. There's two really, but let me give you this one. So ECNL, they built the system of ECNL on two things. One is for college. It's literally for college, which isn't a problem. Like, there's people that just want to go to college, fine. Okay, the bigger problem I have is they built ECNL to go around high school. Around high school. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? Around high school, pardon my French, like, I am very, very good friends with a former Division I college coach for 15 years. And I know the answer already, but I asked him, like, hey, he lives close to me, actually, so we hang out, relatively often. And he has some funny stories, bro. But anyways, he's like, look, I asked him, hey, what do you think about kids playing high school? And he looked at me, he's like, Kyle, if a kid plays high school and I find out he's off, like, I'm literally saying to you what he said to me. He's like, I'm scratching him off my fucking list. Okay? Like, he literally said to me, like, I'm pardon my French, like, I'm sorry for swearing like that, but I had to say it in the way that he said it. He literally goes, he's fucking off my list. If I find out a kid is playing high school, he's fucking off my list. Why? He's not serious. That's exactly what he told me. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could just, like, record you saying that and post it everywhere. But I don't have his permission to do that. So he doesn't want to be recorded. I've already asked him different things to be recorded on. In fact, I have a podcast. I've invited him 3 times to the podcast, and he declines every time. He's like, I don't want to speak. And I'm like, oh, dude, please, like, come out, like, just tell this stuff. Like, come on. Nope, won't do it. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I get it. So, but yeah, he's like, you play high school, dude. Don't think you're going big time D1. We don't know what he's like, the real schools don't want to know what you're doing in high school. The level's not consistent. It's a joke. It's a 3-month season. Half the time the coaches are teachers. So hopefully that answers your question about high school. Like that was his verbatim thought about high school. Okay. Gretch said, can I join live and ask you more specifically about... Yes, absolutely. Let me invite you in. Although, Gretch, it won't let me invite you. I'm assuming because you do not have the latest version. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pin that. It's telling me you don't have the latest version of Instagram. So I cannot invite you to the live. So if you want to fix that very quickly, let me see if I can invite you this way. Let me see, but yeah, I don't even see you anymore. Oh, there you are. Hold on, let me try now. Okay, never mind. It's letting me invite you, so maybe it'll work. Okay, and then, let me see here. Hey, Kyle, I was having a problem accessing your playbook. Probably just me. Soccer IQ is not stressing. So, Gordon, there's 3 ways you can look at it. 1 is audio. 2 is it's on my Twitter feed. And then 3 is I have it in my Instagram profile. You go to highlights, it says playbook, and you can read the whole thing right there. What's going on? How are you?
Hi.
What is your name?
My name's Gretchen.
Gretchen. Okay, so what's your Instagram? Yeah. Okay, cool. Gretchen, nice to meet you.
Okay, so I did listen to your playbook.
Cool.
So I'm familiar with all of that.
Good.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. So my son He did his first season this past spring with a club here in our town.
Yeah.
Was not impressed at all with like the training,
Mhm.
The games, none of it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't find any way to challenge him or give him. I mean, he ended up scoring I think like 21 goals in
Wow.
9 games.
Nice.
Just kind of ridiculous.
I'm sure he was happy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he was, and he has like all this confidence, and and yeah, it was fun to watch and all that, but
Yeah, it's not helping him.
no, and I'm like, at some point, he to get to the next level, like we've got to get in a different environment.
Mm-hmm.
And if the club would not work with us, in ways to challenge him, like letting him play up or letting him train with
Yeah,
us.
I'm sorry, that's very stupid. They would not let you do that. Especially if he's scoring 21 goals in 9 games. The obvious answer would be like, okay, what's your son's name?
Archer.
Archer?
Yeah.
It'd be, okay, Archer, you're obviously killing this. It's time to move you to be challenged.
Mhm. Yep.
But,
Yep.
so let me guess, it was a cash cow you were playing for?
It's the only club in our town. Yeah, it's the only travel soccer club in our town. Otherwise, we just have a rep.
So basically, I mean, you don't even have to tell me more. I can already tell you what's going on. So they're a monopoly. They own everything. If they're the only travel club, so they can do whatever they want, and parents either buy into it or they don't. So they don't care. Like they don't care about the kids at that point, because if they really cared about your son, they would be like, okay, like seriously, if somebody's scoring 20, like that's almost 3 goals a game. Like clearly, it's not hard enough for him. So the obvious thing would be like, okay, let's have him play 1 or 2 years up and see how he does. And you can duel that. Like, he's a 2012, right?
2013.
13, okay. So, like, when I was 12 years old, I was a little bit older. This is me personally, I was playing 2 years up. I think I even started a year earlier at 11. But I would do basically 4 days a week of training. I trained 2 days up, 2 years, and 2 days my age group. So, they should let you do something like that at least. So it's ridiculous. Like I'm actually pissed that they're not doing this. You should be like, hey, talk to Kyle and I'll hit him across the head. Be like, dude, help this kid out. But so how can I help?
So we did that, and trials were coming up again. And so we had emailed them asking him if he could be evaluated for 2 years up.
Yeah.
And they talked about it, and they agreed to evaluate him for 1 year up.
Okay.
And so we weren't thrilled about that. So there's a club about 15 minutes away that's it's the only club in our state that has, it's got the MLS Next pathway. Okay. And they play at a much higher level than what we were playing at. So like their top boys U11 team, playing in like the first division, playing like the best competition that you can get at that in our state.
Yeah.
And so we had him try out there, and he made that top team for the boys U11. He's in U11 right now.
Yeah.
He made that top team, and so he's on it. So it's 50 minutes. So this season, we're going to be traveling 50 minutes for his practices, and then obviously his games and stuff. We know some other people in our town who have left our travel soccer club to go to this one because it's just higher competition, better training and all of that.
Yeah.
So we're kind of committed to that for this coming, year, this fall and spring season. It's the U11 team doesn't have MLS Next, but it's like the top team that he's on will feed into MLS Next
Sure.
for like SoView and stuff. So I guess my question is, and then also here in town we have this trainer guy who we know, and we love him. I feel like his values would line up with you. He's all about the small-sided games, technical training, very like individual focused on the player, and it's not. It's called futsal. Well, yeah, in the winter they play futsal, but then in the summertime they do small-sided games outside, and so he's been doing that all summer long. We stick with him through the winter, so we love him. So I guess my you know, what I would want to, because I agree with like everything you have to say. So I guess my thing is like, okay, so with the kid, like my son, we would love to see him get to the next level and the next level after that, and to be able to play with, you know, in the UPSL at, let's say, age 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he's only 10, I'm like, well, we have to start thinking about that now. It's not
Yep.
like we can just wait until he's 14 and hope that he's ready.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Sorry, you're frozen. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah. Go ahead. You're like staticky, but it's all good. Go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, so what, yeah, so if we, after this year, if we're like, we don't want to do the MLS next, like,
Mm-hmm.
then what can we do for him from now until he's 14 or 15 so that he can, you know, go that pathway to be able to play with adults?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that's why I said, like, in the playbook, I always talk about, like, the more that you can, and it's hard, like, I don't know where you guys live, but it sounds like you don't have a ton of options, but the more you can get him to just play up and then play in environments that he's not comfortable with. Because, like, like what people don't understand is when you go to adult level and you're 15 years old, like, it's a shock because you're a kid and now you're playing against, you know, like, we had kids that were playing their age group and they're coming in and they're like, holy shit, like, they're like stuck, they're frozen. So the more that you can put him in environments that challenge him like that, that would be the key for me. So that could be guest playing. Like, I don't know if you know how to do that, but you can guest play him where you can sign him up for tournaments and people will come pick him up. And it might be his age group, but at least he's playing with people he doesn't know. And then he's playing with coaches he doesn't know. Because again, that's all part of the shock. Like, because when he gets, it's going to shock him. So the more that you can prepare him for the shock and mentally handle that pressure, the better. So I don't know what the answer is because I don't know, where do you live?
So what do you mean guest play? Would he have to be a part of a club to be able to do that?
Yeah, you'd have to have a player card. There are some workarounds to get that, but you could, like, for example, like, you could play for, like, the team that you play on now that's not MLS Next, because MLS Next doesn't let you guest play and do that bullshit. They have all these stupid rules. And then you're paying for it, which is just silly, but that's a separate point. So, like, on the team that you're going to be on now for this season, you could, like, tell the club, hey, listen, anytime we don't have a game, we want to be available to guest play. So that could be, for example, there might be more teams in your club. I'm assuming the club that you're joining, they have more teams. You could play on those other teams at other events and other tournaments and stuff like that. Or the guest play part is really, that's called the club pass, but this is called guest play where you, like, I don't know, I live in Florida, so there's a tournament called the Sarasota Cup as an example, right? And let's say your team doesn't go to that tournament, you don't have any event. You can register as a guest player for the event, and then teams can come pick you up. Do you see what I'm saying? Or really what I tell people to do is like, hey, go network yourself, get, you know, a network of 5 or 6 people that you could have in your back pocket, and you can always call them and say, hey, my son's available for guest play. Yes, we need somebody. Like, but somebody put in here, King Troy Point, and he's right. You have to have that conversation with your club because a lot of them, unfortunately, it's very stupid because they're afraid that you're going to leave and go to somebody else. They will block you from guest playing. Like, I've seen it happen multiple times because parents don't have that conversation up front. So they join the team, and then the club it's stupid, but they can hold your card and not allow you to guest play. So you just have to be careful of that. So the other thing you can do is, like, you know, I don't know, we have a good amount, but we have like 3v3s and 5v5s around us. You could grab a group of kids, join the 3v3, you don't need your club for that. And then you could put them to play 2 years up, and then they're playing against much bigger boys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's little things like that you can do as well.
Yeah. So the guy that we know that we love that does the training, the fall and stuff, this summer, Archer joined in with the U14 age for their practices and training and games, and it was great.
Yeah.
He did great. I mean, he's the littlest kid out there, and he's playing with them and getting in there, and like, so that was great. I guess my main thing is, so that, like, for like the seasons though, like fall and spring, this guy kind of like takes a break because he knows that all the kids are doing their travel stuff at that time, and so that's not really an option during those times. would you like? What about like playing rec and playing up 2 years? Like, if we decided not to go with like MLS Next, do you think for those seasons where like, because like obviously you play soccer to play the game,
Yeah.
so it's like he's not going to be happy with just doing trainings and not like getting to actually play the game.
Sure.
So like, do you think like playing rec and playing up 2 years?
If you're going to do that route, like rec is going to be extremely low level, I would try and push that more. I'd be like 5 years.
Right.
Because the level's just going to be so low, but like to the benefit of him is he'd have to figure out how to play with bigger boys or whatever. So I've never seen somebody do that, but maybe you could try it. Let me know how it goes and see if it's some sort of benefit.
Yeah.
Like the level's going to be very low, but that doesn't mean physically it wouldn't be of a benefit. Because again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to prepare him to be ready by 15 to go play adult. And again, I don't know you very well. I don't know your husband very well. I don't know him. If he physically and mentally can handle it, like we had a 14-year-old play UPSL, but he was, by the way, he was tiny, like very, very small. So everybody's like, oh, he must have been big. No, he was very small. He just mentally was super like powerful in his mind, and technically, obviously, very good, very powerful in his mind. Wasn't afraid of anybody. And at 14 years old, he played probably 15 games UPSL, and after 2 games, so he played his first game, he got a goal. The second game, he got a goal and an assist. After that second game, we did a highlight tape for him. We sent the video out because he's from Colombia, and he got invited to go to one of the biggest tournaments in Colombia. From there, he got invited to join a pro academy, and it's all because he was 14 years old. He was he's a beast, to be honest, and that's why I'm saying I don't know if I wouldn't classify him necessarily yet as a generational talent, but he was on that border of being very close to it. That's why he could play adults and perform at 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get him to 14 and he's ready to play with adults, or at least like sometimes, like the quicker you can put them with adults is the best thing possible. Just because it'll bring you way closer to college or pro, and I don't even know what your son wants to do, but let's say he wants to go to be a pro. Like, again, you look at Messi, you look at Ronaldo, you look at any top player, they're playing pro at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to be throwing him into, when he gets to that age, of course, but into that level. And everything you do before that point is what I call zone 1. And zone 1 is just development and preparation for that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, but, I mean, you might have to play and try different things. And see what you can work with. And then another option might be you could join, for example, you could, like, let's say you don't want to do MLS Next, but you think the club might be a benefit to you. I don't know, but you could try this maybe. You could play on the second team of the next age group. So I don't know what they have underneath that, but they have MLS Next and they have something underneath that. But then you'd be like, hey, I want to do this, but I want to be able to play 2 years up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep my kid in your club. Like, you got to negotiate that. Like, They don't tell you that you can do that, but if they really like your son, they'll negotiate with you.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we were doing, is kind of just giving this year a try, seeing how we feel about it all, seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
But what you said about rec, it's funny because the same guy who's the president of our travel league is also the president of the rec league.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that he's gonna let kids play that many years up in rec.
Crazy.
And it's all ran by the same people.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm in Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay.
Actually, is where I'm from. So the club that we're driving to is in Indianapolis. And they're the only they're the only club in the state that has MLS.
So I would also recommend this. You could try this. Like, so this new club that you're joining that's not MLS Next because they're 1 year younger, throw them the question, hey, like, we're trying to tell them, I'm trying to think how you could phrase this, but I don't know the guy's name. You could go up to the director, let's say his name is Alex. Hey, Alex, I'd like to talk with you. We're very passionate because my son has a goal. And we want to help him achieve that. And you can say it like this. Don't say you. Say it's about your son. Hey, my son wants to be challenged. He's asking us, can you let him train twice a week with the 2011s?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you put it like that, because if you come in and say, no, I want my son to do this, then they get, like, I've seen it, like, they'll get defensive. Like, oh, no, it's. But if you say, hey, it's my son, he's asking for this, and they have to, like, they'll have to back off and they'll have to really think about, hey, do we let this kid do this? because it's the kid asking versus the parent asking. So I would try that as well. Be like, hey, go to the director. Hey, just be like, maybe shoot him an email. Hey, I'd like to take 5 minutes of your time. It's about my son and what he's asking for. We love your club. We think it's a great fit. Blah blah blah. And then you get him in a meeting. Hopefully it's face to face. It's better that way. And then you can bring your son, by the way, and then you can really be like, I don't want to say put pressure on your son to say this, but like, if something comes from the kid, it makes a bigger impact on the people, if that makes sense. Right. Whereas if it's just you as an adult and you're talking to another adult, they're going to say, I don't give a fuck what you're saying, pardon my French. But if a kid's come and say, no, I really want to try this, then they might be like, okay, we have to give him a chance because it's a kid asking.
Right.
So try to keep that in your back pocket. Maybe like play with that a little bit of how you could phrase that conversation. And again, apologies for my French, but that's what they say. Like I've had conversations with directors and they don't care about anybody. No. They have to do what's in the best interest of the club, which is keep as much money as possible and try and put out the best teams for their age group to win, because that way when they do that, more people want to come there, and it's just this whole cow of stuff. It's all about the bills.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's helpful to know. So yeah, definitely being vocal and not being afraid to help, and like with my son, with the last season that we did our club here in town, that's exactly how he felt as he was like,
I'm sorry, Gretchen, it's really hard to hear. You're cutting out really, really bad.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Is that a little bit better?
That is better, yeah. Oh, I lost you again, I think. I can't hear you at all. Nothing. There's like a echoey sound, but I don't hear anything. Like I know you're talking, but I can't hear you. Let me take you out. Let me invite you back in. Maybe that'll solve the problem. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me take you out. Put it back in. Give me 1 second. All right. And then somebody asked me a question on YouTube. There might be actually a couple. Let me make sure. Ellie, give me 1 second. I'm going to answer your question. I have a 7-year-old daughter. Should I have her play mainly with boys? Yes. I mean, don't even hesitate to do that. If I was, for sure. Have her play with boys as long as possible. Okay. Let's see. Try again. Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I can hear you a little bit better now, I think. Oh, you're frozen again.
Yeah.
Okay, so try again.
What'd you say?
Try again. You were saying something, but you cut out terribly. I couldn't hear you at all.
All right. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, about his practices. He's like, I want to be challenged. Like, and it is. It's coming from him. And so, like, when I see that in him, like, it makes me want to, like, advocate for him.
Yeah.
And, because I see it in him. And it's like, I see the potential. And that for me as a kid, like, my parents never, like, fostered anything like that for us. Like, we had interests or passions. And so I wanted to do it differently with my kid. And, just hearing everything you have to say, like, it really resonates with me. And, so I know that it's not, like, going to be an easy path, but I want to give him, as much opportunity as we can.
Sure.
And, so that was, I guess, my main thing is, like, if we did, we do this year and we decide that this club is not the right fit, then, what else can we do to find that? Because it's like Lafayette, Indiana, that there's really not a whole lot going on. It's basically that club we got, and then, but our guy, Jorge is his name, like, we love him. I feel like he's from Mexico, and he's trained a lot of different people we've had. he just brought in last week. He had a former professional player on the Chivas team, in Pato, Colorado, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Come in and train with the kids and like teach them different stuff, and it was amazing.
It's awesome.
It was great for the kids to see
Yeah.
somebody like him. And he told them, he like left home when he was 13, went like 10 hours away to train, and
Yep.
so it really
Sacrifice.
shows the kids like what it takes.
Mm-hmm. So have you ever thought about talking to him and be like, hey, could you build a team?
Yeah, we have, and we have talked to him when we were deciding what to do with Archer, and he actually knows the guy who's going to be Archer's coach this coming season.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be this guy's former coach back on like a semi-pro men's league or something,
Mm-hmm.
like 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny how that worked out, that he used to be Archer's coach's coach.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that this season will go well, and that I'll feel like it's like you said, that there's a return on our investment.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, yeah, this guy Jorge, has said things about like creating a team in the future. I think his program is still fairly young here in Lafayette. It's only about 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That he does, and it's funny because he actually started this travel club soccer
Mm-hmm.
program in our area,
Yeah.
like 13 years ago. But there was some falling out, and so he's not involved with that anymore. And they like pretty much want nothing to do with him.
Okay.
And we value Jorge way more than the club and their leadership.
Of course.
And,
Of course.
It's just crazy. Like
Yeah.
he's got way more experience than any of them do on that board.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't listen to a word he says. They
Of course
want to do it their way.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, this is what I think people don't remember or understand is, like, okay, so, like, I've been in board meetings. Like, I didn't work for a very big cash cow, but I did work for a cash cow. So they had probably 1,200 kids. And, like, I was, the title I had was, at the time, was called Age Group Coordinator. And we're sitting in the board meetings because I would be there listening because they would give us feedback and whatnot. There was never one time that they talked about what they need to do for the kids. It was always about how many kids are in the program, how many are in rec, how many are competitive, how can they get more kids. So, like, they're just looking at it, which I understand. It is a business, but they don't put the interest of the people that are the membership at front of it. You see what I'm saying? So, like, that's exactly, I'm sure, what's happening with this board that they have. They're not going to listen to a guy that's going to say, hey, you should do these things, because that's not what they care about. Like, a great example would be, I went to my state association called FYSA. They invited a bunch of people in that, like, are directors and owners of clubs. So it was for the pre-AGM is what they called it. And the main director walks up and he goes, we have an amazing announcement. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe we're going to hear something decent the whole time. Okay, cool. Let's see. Right out of his mouth, he goes, we have 112,000 players registered. And I'm like, who fucking cares? Like, and? He's like, oh, we increased by whatever percentage it was, like 13% or something. And I'm like, and? I'm like, we have kids in this state constantly slamming balls down the field because they're not being taught anything except to kick it, boot it, and send it. And here we are with the main director coming out going, well, we have 113 or 100, whatever it was, 112,000 kids. Why do I care about that? But to him, it's a business. He needs to make sure that he has more kids playing, because the more kids that play, the more money he and the organization makes. Because every time somebody registers, they make probably $30 a kid. So do the math. I mean, 100,000 times 30. I mean, they're making just stupid money.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Well, yeah, and when I tried to have a conversation with the director or the president or whatever of our travel club, talking to him about Archer and like, what can we do to challenge him? And he ended up telling me, he's like, I've never stopped a player from going somewhere else. They feel like they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I guess not, because you'll just fill his spot with some other kid. Like,
for sure. Yeah.
You don't care about
Nope.
challenging him in the way that he needs. Like,
Yeah.
so he just flat out told me that. Like, hey, if you want to go for the house.
Well, again, so like context.
Like, you can't challenge a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is context, right? So he's a director. So how do I explain this to you? Like, okay, I own my own club, I direct my own club, and I coach my own club. So like, my thing as an owner to myself as a director is, hey, we want to develop better kids, right? But the owners of the organization are telling this guy, whoever it is, I don't need to know his name, but they're saying, hey, you need to retain members and increase membership. Like, that's it. Like, that's his job. He's not there to challenge somebody's kid. So that's not his role. His role is he has a job. He's getting paid, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a number, $60,000 a year to increase membership and retain members, the majority of the members, and that's his job. He doesn't care. He's not being told, "Hey, I need you to go develop X, Y, and Z." He's being told it's about the dollar bills, protect my dollar bills, and increase my dollar bills. That's what he's being told. Mm-hmm. So I know that because I do all three. I own, I direct because I'm the director of my own club because we're not big enough to have somebody else. I can't wait to have somebody else. And I coach. I do all three, and I know exactly what that process is because I literally tell I say, hey, here's the owner Kyle, here's the director Kyle, here's the coach Kyle. Owner Kyle has told director Kyle, you need to do this. Director Kyle, you tell the coaches you need to do X. And I always say, we're trying to make kids better. So the only thing I promise anybody when they walk through our door is their child will get better. I don't promise them exposure. I don't promise them, I don't know what else, uniform and all that. I just promise them your child will walk through this door. They're going to come to practice. If they're committed and you practice at home, your child will get better. That's the message we tell people. But that's because that's what we want to do, not because we want to cash cow it and make a bunch of money. And so. Yeah.
And there was one coach who coached there this past year. He's from Serbia.
Yeah.
And he played the Serbian U15, U17, like pretty, high level playing. And he had a 9-year-old daughter who played on the U10.
Yeah.
But when it came time to move up, they were wanting to keep kids her birth year is January 2014. So she actually was only supposed to be U9, but they didn't have enough girls to have a U9 team. So she played on U10. Mm-hmm. Well, then moving up, those U10 girls are moving to U11. Well, for her birth year, she should only be going to U10. And so they told him, we're not moving anybody up. They're going to play with their birth year. That's that. And so he ended up leaving the club too and going to the same club that we're going to.
Yeah.
And he's going to coach there, and his daughter's going to go there. And I'm like, you guys are stupid. Like, you're losing the most experienced coach. Like, you don't have anybody that has the knowledge or level that he has.
Yep.
And you're just willing to just, lose people like that.
They'll ride and die by the cash cow. They don't care.
It just blows my mind.
Like, there's a program, like, this will summarize it for you. So I had a kid with me. He came back. I've had him for 4 years now. He was with us for 3.5, left to go to a MLS Next program. Was there for literally probably 5 months. And the exit interview, the guy was like, look, you could leave and I'm going to get 15 more kids tomorrow. He's a cash cow. He doesn't care.
Right.
They have no desire or need to care about anybody's kids because they're just, if they're big enough, they're always going to get kids. And if they're big enough, like this, there's a club right next to me that the last 2 years they bought 3 clubs. And they bought 2 clubs in 1 year. And the reason was because 1 year they didn't have a lot of kids to try out. So they started panicking. So they ended up buying another smaller program that didn't have the resources or the membership and whatever. They bought them to then increase their membership and their sales. So they just don't care. They have no need to care. They will never care until U.S. Soccer comes out and says something. But that won't happen. So the only way to stop this whole thing, and it's extremely hard to do, would be parents say, I'm not going to pay for it anymore. And they'd have to go find a guy, I don't know the guy's name you were talking about, but the trainer, Jorge. They'd have to go find a Jorge or find a Kyle or find somebody to try to do the right thing for the kids. That's the only way it's ever going to change because there's just too much money involved for these organizations. And like, imagine if like that club that told you could leave, I don't know, how many kids they have?
I think they have, it's small. I mean, so like, I've heard that it's like around 350 to 400.
Okay, so let's use that number. Let's just say 400. let's say they woke up tomorrow with 100, they'd be shitting themselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like any big club, and they're not that big, let's just say a big club, if any big club tomorrow, or again using FYSA, if FYSA woke up tomorrow and they had 20,000 kids, when they made the announcement they have 112, they would be shitting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But again, until parents realize that they have all the power and they can actually ignite change, but it can't be one parent, it has to be a collection of parents saying, we're not going to accept this anymore.
Right. Well, I know quite a few that have left this season, that are going to this other club, and so we're going to be carpooling with them. But at the same time, they also had a ton of people at tryouts. Like they're
Yep.
So it's like people are leaving, but these younger people coming in, they don't know that.
Yep.
And so, because it's soccer's for sure growing in our area,
Yep.
which is fantastic. But yeah, so it's like these people, they don't know that at all, and so they're gonna have to just experience it firsthand and come to the realization themselves.
Well, and I'm hoping like a lot of this content that I'm putting out, like especially like the playbook and the things that I'm producing, like will help people understand like you guys have control. It has to be a group of people making the decision to stop or to help like pull out from the cash cows and
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. And so basically what you're saying is if we can make this new club like work for us and be beneficial, and if we can see a return on our investment, then stick with it. Like, if we feel like it's adding more value, that, if we can find different ways to get him training with older kids, or, then what I'm trying to figure out is how to create a way to help people determine value, right? So like, I have it on paper, like, okay, what is a cash cow going to do? The cash cow is going to have you play your age. They're going to put you in shitty brackets so they win. They're not going to challenge your kid. Tryouts are going to be a complete fucking joke because they're just going to have you scrimmage. I got to stop swearing. I'm swearing too much today. I'm trying to think of other stuff off the top of my head. They're going to charge you a hell of a lot of money, and then practice will be scrimmaging. Like, that's what you're going to get from a cash cow. So then you're also going to get like 2 or 3 practices a week. So the question is, I then have to figure out how do you turn all those informations, and then on the flip side, how do you turn that into a monetary value? Because like, you're paying for a service. So I'm just picking a number. I don't know what you pay, and you don't need to tell me. But let's say you're paying $3,000 for the year. So you're paying $3,000. There's got to be a way, and this is what I'm trying to piece together, is how do you translate that to the value that you're actually receiving? So like, if you're at practice and they're just scrimmaging, I personally, I don't think there's any value. Like except maybe $10. Like that's not worth value, because if they're not learning skills, they're not being coached, they're not being instructed, they're not being pushed, what's the point of it? They could go play rec and get that. Yeah.
So if you feel like, and I don't know how long it'll take me to do this because I really have to like break this down, but if you feel like your son's progressing, the training is good, he's being pushed, then it's at value. And then like I said, like you can negotiate with them and be like I said, I would try that thing with your son. Hey, just shoot the director an email or whatever, text him, whatever you have to do. Hey, Director Alex, would love to talk with you. My son and I have a question or a couple of questions, want to get your thoughts. And then he's already like, okay, well, maybe it's just some whatever. And then you bring him in there, and then you just, hey, my son would love to have the opportunity because he wants to be challenged. He wants to be able to train with the older boys. And the worst thing he's going to say is no. And then what you can say is, if he really does say no, like this is just something I thought of, I could be like, or as the parent, I would say, listen, can we make some sort of arrangement? If he does really well at his age group where he's on fire, can we then consider him, or can we then don't say consider, because then they'll be like, oh, we considered it no. At that moment, could we then have him go play up twice a week for train? You could be like, I'm just asking for training. It doesn't have to be games. But you could be like, I want him to earn, or again, he can help say some of this, but we want him to earn what he's getting.
Right.
So because if a parent came to me, and I've had this happen before, I want my son to, because we have 07s and 06s playing UPSL, so they're kids playing against men. I've had parents come to me and say, I want my son on the team. Okay, he's got to earn it. No, but I want to pay you for it. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
So if your son performs, cool, great, he can play. If he doesn't earn it, then he's not playing.
Right.
So you can, again, that would be my card. If he says no, then I'd say, okay, Director Alex, can we make an agreement? He's going to say, well, what is the agreement? Well, the agreement would be, in my perspective, is if my son is performing very well at his age group, you don't want to say can you want to try and push it in the direction that you get what you want, right? If he performs well in his age group, will you move him? I'm trying to think how to phrase that. I'm not thinking of it fast enough, but I think you get the point.
Yeah.
You're trying to get it like, okay, if he achieves X, give me Y.
Right. Yeah.
So just you got to figure out how to word that part, but I think that will help you like navigate that piece. I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully that at least helps, and you can piece that together. I'm sorry you're going through such a shitty moment because that's at least here in Orlando you have multiple options, but I also don't think that's a good thing either. I think there's got to be a balance because like in Orlando, I mean, I wish I was joking when I'm saying this. You'll probably be shocked. So we have Orlando City, right?
Yeah.
Orlando City has an academy. It's free. And then there are at least, I've counted 12, but I think there's 15. There's at least 12 Orlando City franchises. So I'm not going to say the names of them, but there's Orlando City X, Orlando City A, Orlando City B, Orlando City C, Orlando City E, Orlando City D. And there's at least 13 of them. I think there's 15. And then you have all the other clubs that are non-Orlando cities. They're just franchises, but they're they're non-Orlando cities that are just clubs. Some of them are cash cows, some of them are not.
Right.
So in my opinion, it's extremely diluted. It's terrible. So that would be the opposite side. Like you have a place that there's almost no options, and there's a place where there's just far too many options, and then you have one organization trying to dominate that market because they're selling franchises for like $50,000 a year. It's crazy, but that's besides the point. So
yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
But I hope that helps.
And that's why I feel lucky that yeah, it does, and I feel lucky that we found somebody like Jorge who is on the same page as us, and so yeah, that does help a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. And again, if you need something, shoot me a DM, and I'll try and help out the best that I can.
Okay, sounds good.
So have a good day. I'll see you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I don't know, Soccer Squad, if you're still in here. I'm sorry I didn't answer your message. I was just doing that live. So to answer your question, if you have your player card, they couldn't block my son, right? Or is the club notified when you get play? Yeah, so good question. The card is not yours. Just because you hold it in your hand, the card is actually owned. I need to do a video about this. The card is actually owned by the club. So let me write that down so I remember to write this as notes. Player cards owned by club. Okay, yeah, so the player card is owned by the club. It's not owned by you. So when you register your player to whatever club you play for, let's call it Kyle Wilson's Academy, just for a simple scenario. I then go to whatever association I'm using. There's 8 of them, and there's actually more because of futsal, so there's really like 14 of them. Point is, I then go to an association, so I would use my association, we use FYSA. I go to FYSA, I pay a fee, and I get your card, and then I get to put you on my roster. So I own your player card, or your son's player card. It's my discretion if you're allowed to guest play or not. So they've created a whole new system in Got Sport that the club has to manage to get a guest play. There might be some instances that you can work around that without permission, but 99 times out of 100, you need the permission of the club, especially the way that they've set it up now. So yeah, just be aware of that, because I don't know if you're in here or not, but just keep that in the thing. So I've not won any tournaments this season because we were playing in Europe, and we were lucky to have a group of parents that don't care about trophies. That's awesome, King Troy. I mean, that's the difference maker, bro, for sure. Yeah, so I was gonna say the exact same way. So if Tita's right, you can. There's another one too. I forget the other one you can use, but you can get a card from a USSA where you don't have to have them. But the challenge is this. Every tournament I've been to that does this, there may be some that don't, but it's very stupid. There are insurance policies in place that will not, like, I don't know how to break this down very easily. It's very stupid. Okay, so I have FYSA, right? So I have an FYSA membership. I have an FYSA membership with my organization. I can't go to a tournament. Like, so for example, I said the Sarasota Cup. I cannot go to the Sarasota Cup with an FYSA roster and player card and bring somebody from a different association. So using the point that Dante made with the USSSA card, you can do that, but the entire team has to go to that tournament with that set of cards or that affiliation, if that makes sense. So I cannot add your son to my roster if it's not the same affiliation. So that just means there's more work, there's a slightly more cost. I think a USSSA card is like $25-$30 per kid. It's not that bad, but it's just stupid, to be completely honest. It's just the whole shitty thing about the system. Okay, so yeah, I need to get some water, man. I'm dying. I have no more water, but that's okay. I'm almost done. So thank you for doing these lives. You have answered our questions the past few days, which have been informative. Awesome. I'm glad that. I would like to hear your thoughts on playing in Europe. Okay, my son and I have listened to your playbook, but his goal is to go pro and play in Europe. Can you share some tips on how the process works? Leslie, can I bring you into the live? It'd be a lot easier to kind of answer your questions directly. Otherwise, I'm kind of just shooting answers off to the wall. I can do that, but it's easier if I can help you directly and answer your specific question, if that's possible. If not, that's okay. I just, I can throw some stuff against the wall and tell you, based, what I know off the top of my head, and how to do Europe. I can, but it's better to be able to answer your question directly, I think. Done. Easier. Sweet. Go live. Done. Much easier. It's like you guys need to understand. It's way easier for me if I bring you into the live and I have a physical conversation with you.
Oh, sorry.
No problem, Leslie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Another day in paradise. So walk me through. How old's your son? What's the situation? Want to go to Europe?
Yes. So He'll be 15 next month.
Awesome.
He's been playing since he was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a military family, so we did live in Italy for a year, and
Cool.
he played for a local Italian club while he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was only like 10 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since leaving Europe, that's all he talks about.
I'm sure.
He's going back to Europe, playing in Europe. That's where he wants to be.
I'm sure. Yeah.
He's very self-motivated, dedicated, practices even when he's not practicing with his team.
Cool.
But being U.S. citizens, like, we're still trying to figure out all of that and, like, how you do all that to get him,
Okay.
We've watched a lot of your stuff, so we know a lot about the being exposed and, exposure and, like, all that kind of stuff. So we're still trying to figure out what's the best route for him and how to support him and what steps we should be taking.
Okay, so he's a 2008, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, so you want to go to Europe? He's no wait. Do you have a passport?
He does have a passport.
No, I mean, like, do you have a European passport, like for Italy or for?
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay, so it would make it a lot easier. The one strategy I do know of, it's really two of them. One would be you go get a job overseas. So, like you said, you're military family. Maybe you can find a way to get a job in Italy or Spain or whatever, and then you live there again. Or the other side is like, there's a guy I train personally. He played for the FC Basel Academy for 2 years. His parents, they're educators, so they're teachers. They got, I don't remember the exact steps they do, I could ask them and find out, but they got a job through like a fair, and they got jobs in Switzerland. So they didn't have a club lined up. They reached out to some people, but they were already moving to Switzerland for non-footballing reasons, which is very important. So they moved to Switzerland, and they already had contact started with a couple of clubs. One of them was FC Basel. He did a tryout with FC Basel and made it, and then he got his foot through the door. So people ask me the same question. I'm like, okay, if you don't have a passport, the best way to do it is then get a job. Because that, like, the issue is, I'm trying to make this very easy for you, so, and anybody else that's listening. So if you move to a country for a footballing reason, FIFA will block your son until he's 18 years old, which you don't want to have happen. So he can still play for a club. He can train with a club, but he's not allowed to play any official matches. It's stupid as hell. But basically they made that decision because there's a bunch of clubs, Barcelona, I think Chelsea, they were taking kids from Africa, and then they were like letting them go and releasing them, and these kids were screwed. So, like, I understand why they did it, but I think context is important because there's people in your situation that aren't going to go drop their kid off and disappear them in another country. And then there was agents basically ripping off kids in Africa again, stealing their money, flying them to Europe, and then they had nothing. So that's why they made all these rule changes, because when I was a kid, this didn't exist. Like, you could just go to a club and sign, no problem. But then probably 5 years after I went to France and trained with a club, which was OL, Olympique Lyonnais at the time, they changed all these rules because of that. So that's the best workaround that I know. The other thing might be that you could just, if you have the financial resources, you just, like, obviously you gotta do some prep work, right? But you move to a country. So, like, there's one parent that I know, he's like, I have unlimited money. And I'm like, okay, well, if you have unlimited money, then move to another country. Like, you can do that. You have to do all the paperwork and the passport stuff, but you can move to another country. You just have to do the process to do that. So, those are the two options. I mean, you don't need to tell me your financial situation, but you either go get a job, and I'll do some more digging too and see if there's other viable options. You could also buy a house or something like that, and then you could have a residency there, and then you can work that process of getting documents and all that kind of stuff. Like I was saying, if you have the financial resources to do so. Because there's a family I know, they have a house in Italy and they have a house here. They're working on getting the passport stuff, but the only reason why they can do that is because they have heritage in Italy, but they also have the house. That's a huge thing for them. So those are the two official ways that I know you can do something.
Okay. So I know college is not for everyone, and I won't push him to go to college if that's not what he wants to do, because he tells us time and time again he doesn't want to play soccer in college.
Yeah.
He wants to go to Europe and play for an academy or something over there. But as of right now, like I said, we are a military family, so, like, obviously my husband can try to get orders overseas again, but that's not always, like, a possibility. And then, so I guess, what could we do, like, still here in the States, besides, like, some of the things that, you know, talked about, like, moving over there to prep him, or, I don't know, like, I guess things that I've been thinking of to get him more exposure and be seen and to have his name out there, you know, and contacting, like, academies and things like that, and seeing if they have people that want to come out and watch him play, like sending highlight clips, videos, things like that. I don't know, I guess we have 4 kids. He's our oldest, so this is still kind of new, like, trying to figure out, like, how to support him. And we wouldn't be this adamant about it, but we know that he feels so strongly about this, and he has shown through his actions that this is what he wants, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And so we want to try to support him in every way that we can, and make sure we are doing the right things and not just handing over money to people that promise things that don't deliver.
Sure. Yeah. Welcome to America. So there's one more thing that I forgot about. I just wrote it down so I didn't forget, because I just remembered. I don't know if this is true. I had somebody tell me this, so it might be true. I'll try and do some more research for you. If you can get him scouted by a professional club, so an actual scout in Europe scouts him, my understanding is, at least what I was told, is that he can then go to that country and live there, because he's 16 years old. He got scouted by a professional scout for a club and identified. I think that's true. I'll have to, again, do some more research. It's something I just remembered right now. The other side is, you're asking, what can you do here? What you can do is, you said he's an 08. He's going to be, no, he is an 08. He's going to be U16, right? Yeah, U16.
Yeah.
I don't know where you live, but I would immediately put him to go play with adults. Immediately.
Okay, that's what we were just talking about last night. Because I had listened to your playbook, and so we listened to the Phase 4, like, together last night.
Right.
And so there was, like, a misunderstanding of what I understood and what he understood. So he's like, no, Mom, that's not how it works. So I was like, well, listen to it with me so that we can both understand. So then he explained to me. So we were talking about, like, the MLS Next, and then, like, the MLS Academy, and, like, what the difference was and stuff like that. So, and then we were talking about the UPSL. So we live in Maryland currently.
Okay,
we're supposed to be here for at least 1 more year.
What part?
I'm Southern Maryland, like, down in Pax River area. So we're, like, way south, like, remote. Like, there's one club that's in St. Mary's County.
Okay, I'm trying to think of where that is, because I'm from Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay, so we're about an hour and 15 minutes south.
Okay.
So, like, Solomon's Island area, like, all the way down that way.
Okay,
We're,
yeah,
like,
so you're way out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, what I would do, you can shoot me a DM. There's a couple people that I know there because again, I'm from there. I was born and raised there for basically 18 years. I can introduce you to a couple of people. I don't know if they're going to be local to you or not. One of them is a guy that trained me since I was a little kid, so he has all the respect. I mean, half the stuff that I know is because of him. So I think he might be a very, very valuable resource. And then what I would do, like, in terms of what your question is, so yeah, I mean, there's MLS Next, there's MLS Academy, there's DC United Academy. They're free, or at least I think they're free. They should be free. I've heard some are not. They're directly connected to the first team of DC United. And then you have a bunch of other MLS Next, which are pay to play. And from my experience, one, I would never put my kid to play there because I think it's a complete ripoff. And two, I think there's much better value. Instead of playing your age group at MLS Next, you go play against grown-ass men. If that's the goal. If your son says, Mom, I want to be a pro, the best players in the world are playing against grown men at 15 and 16 years old. So, that would be my recommendation. I'm positive there are plenty of adult teams in your area that are not that far away. And so there's a division called UPSL. That's the one that I know the best. They have two divisions. They have Division 1 and Division 1 and Premier. Division 1.
I asked you that yesterday, what the difference between it was.
Yeah. So one is one's a lower level technically, so I would consider that like an MLS Academy level. And then they have Premier, which is like college. That's what I related to. Yeah. So, but interestingly enough, there are 12 MLS academies now that are playing UPSL. So Charlotte's one of them. I don't know if DC is one, but there's a bunch all over the country.
When I looked it up yesterday, I think there is a DC United one listed now. But when you click on it, it says I think it's new. Like they don't even have any players listed or anything yet.
Right. So it might be coming or something.
Or anything.
Yeah. So that's good.
When if you want to go that route or you want to try to do something like that, do you just reach out to them? Do you
You're talking about UPSL?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is look up the programs. Like you could send them a DM on Instagram. You could probably find some information on their website. Reach out to the coach. I would probably have your son do it personally because then they're seeing the kid wants to do it versus mom.
Yeah.
Because I've had literally from my perspective, I have kids playing UPSL. So I have their 07s and their 06s. So they're 1 year older technically than your son. And I've had parents reach out to me and I'm like, why am I hearing from you? I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from the kid because if it's the kid that wants to play, it needs to be the kid, not the dad or the mom. That's just my personal opinion. So I would at least have him do the initial. I mean, maybe it's under his account, right? Maybe it's you writing with him from a safety perspective or whatever. But have him lead that conversation if this is what he really wants to do.
Okay. I know I tried to get him to come on with me right now, and he's sitting here listening to everything, but he was like, no, Mom. He's like, not right now.
What's your son's name?
Lincoln.
Lincoln, bro, don't be afraid. This is like an interview. If you become a pro, bro, you are going to have so many interviews as a professional college player, you might as well not be afraid. What's up, boss? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Another damn paradise, man. Yeah, don't be afraid, bro. Again, if this is the career path that you want to take, fear is not going to be your friend. So that if you hesitate on fear, bro, that's going to stop your dream from ever happening. I don't know you. Your mom's telling me you're a good player. I believe your mom that you're probably a good player, especially if you got dreams. Don't be afraid, bro. If you're afraid, that will stop you forever.
All right.
So go for it, man. Not a problem. But do you have any other questions that I can answer?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. So, I mean, I hope that helps because at least, again, in your guys' perspective, it's great because holy shit, I never did that. And then the day I got into college, which I didn't want to do, but I did go to college, I was like, holy shit, this is way harder than USU soccer. I played DA, so I played what is now MLS Next, and it's not even close. The level is just, because you're playing against men, it's a completely different experience and vibe and level, and it's just all different. So the more that you can play against adults now, if you can hang, the better. And then at your age, I was giving the example earlier with Gretchen, we had a kid with us personally. He actually played for Orlando City Academy, left and came to us with my program with High Soccer, and we had a partnership with another organization, and he, at 14 years old, played 15 UPSL games, and now he's playing in a professional academy in Colombia. So, but the key is you have to perform. If you don't perform, you're not going to get anywhere. So it doesn't matter if you make the squad. because like you're going to be on zone 2 of the development pathway, and zone 2 is you've now done all this preparation and development to get to this point. Now it's time to showcase what you have and perform. If you perform and you do well, not just one game, but like consistently, you can do something from it. But if you don't, then there's nothing else anybody can say. You have to start, because if you think about it, like using that same example with that kid, the first game that he played ever UPSL goal, he got the first goal again. We ended up tying 1-1. But like 14-year-old kid, very small. He's not like big and strong and fast. He's not powering through people. He gets the first goal of the game, and everyone's like, "Holy shit! This kid got a goal." Then we played the next game. He got a goal and an assist, and everyone's like, "Holy shit! This kid's 14 years old playing against grown-ass men, got a goal and an assist." Like that, that's attention. So after the second game, that's when he got invited to go to a tournament because we put like a whole highlight tape together and stuff. And I talked about this too with our boys. We actually played against the St. Kitts senior men's national team, the same one that just played the U.S. men's national team in the Gold Cup. And those are my boys, 07 and 06. We just played that game a month ago, and I have the video. I can send it to your mom. The same exact team, and it was all because we played against adults. If we played MLS Next or ECNL, we would have never gotten that game. So, just stuff to think about.
We were just in Orlando, was it last week?
Yeah.
Or the week before for the Nationals Championships.
Cool. Yeah, I think I remember you sending me a message or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I didn't know, I guess I didn't realize you guys were down in Orlando or like that close. I knew you were in Florida, but I didn't know you were in Orlando.
No, we're in Orlando. Yeah, we're very close. I live, honestly, 15 minutes, maybe less, from Disney.
Oh, okay.
So, extremely close.
So we just got back from that, but...
Cool. How did it go?
He took like one day, they played their 3,
we played the 3 group stage games. We won 2 of them and then lost 1 of them. We lost the team that ended up winning.
That was at Disney, right? That was at Disney?
Yeah, ESPN. So they ended up losing to the team that won his age bracket.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
So...
What are you going to do? You lost the winners. Not much you can do about that.
Yeah.
I know, and it just sucks because they happen to be in our bracket, and then the team that ended up playing them in the final, like, they weren't even at the level, like, you know how, like, sometimes your bracket just...
Yeah, it just depends on who you get, right? That's the name of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right.
But yeah.
Well, cool. I hope any other questions?
No, but we'll definitely reach out if we think of anything.
Sure.
We're going to go back through some of your other content things that you had. But I know in your playbook it didn't really talk. I know you said like you were only talking about like the stateside stuff and whatever. So I figured it would take an opportunity to ask you.
That's a good question. I will, like, because I'm actually putting. I got to do a lot of work for it, but I'm putting a book together. So it's essentially the playbook, but I'm going to add in a whole bunch of other stuff because there are people, for example, I need to do stuff for girls. I need to do stuff for people like in your situation that want to go to Europe and some ideas that you can make and whatnot. Like, but most people I deal with, they don't want to take that risk. They just want to stay here. So I'm like, let me put something together on paper that at least, or an audio at least, that covers, being stuck in this country, so to speak. And unfortunately, it's terrible, but because this country sucks at developing until you get to the next level. So. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and for everything that you put out there to help us. So
yeah, no problem, Leslie. And nice meeting you, Lincoln, and I hope to see you guys soon.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Woo! All right, so anybody else? Last questions, 1 or 2 I can answer before I get off, man. I'm tired. I haven't had water. I've been on this for 90 minutes. I'm dying, bro. Jeez. But again, I'm just trying to help you guys, make better decisions at the end of the day. If there's one last question I can answer from somebody, I will be more than happy to do so. And, help out any way that I can. My boy Pelik, he said, respect. My dog. I don't know if he's still in this, but Perik, I hope you come to Florida, bro. Stop messing around in France. Rock it back. Rock it back, G-Wagon. I'm shooting for the Premier League. You should shoot for the Premier League. Might as well. All right, guys. I'm going to get off. I need water. I need to recover, man. I've been on this for 90 minutes. Literally, I have a timer here, and it's like, a long time. But anyways, so I hope you guys got some out of this. Remember, the preseason camp is next week. Who should determine your kid's position? Shit, man. I mean, a lot's going to depend on the age of the kids. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it will be the coach. But anything under, we're in Orlando, Florida. Anything under, I would even say 13, maybe pushing 14. What position they play doesn't really matter. They should be playing a lot of positions. But then at some point, like the coach makes the decision on what for the team, right? What position is best for the team? Like I played college soccer, and I played a couple of different positions in youth, but my primary position was an 8 or a 6. And when I got to college, my first game I played right back. And I'm like, Coach, I'm not a right back. He's like, I don't care. What do you mean you don't care? No, I don't care. Do you want to play or not? You mentioned most people don't want to take the risk to go to Europe if the kid is good. Shit. Listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. Europe is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Europe is not perfect. There's flaws in the system. It's way more ruthless, by the way. But if your son has the level and you can get to Europe, I would not even stay here more than tomorrow. I would already have my bags packed tonight. I would have a one-way ticket out of here, and I am not coming back. I'm selling all my shit and I'm leaving. So, yeah. If you have a kid that's serious, that wants to try and be a professional, there's probably, I mean, you could argue South America, but most people don't want to go to South America. So you could argue from that perspective. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers your question. I wouldn't even hesitate, bro. Like, same thing that they said about being in Italy. Like, I went to France as a kid, and I just dreamed about going back to Europe the entire time because the level's just so different. Everybody wants to try and be a pro. At least when you're in an academy, everybody's fighting each other for positions. It's ruthless. I mean, it's certain. It's survive or die is probably the best word to describe it. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna jump off. I'm gassed. To be honest, I'm gassed. But we'll do another one for sure. I'm sure soon this weekend I'll probably do another one. Hope you guys have a good day. Keep pushing that stuff out. And let's get working, man. And take advantage of all the stuff that I have. It's free. Why would you not use it? Use it. Playbook, use it. Online programs, use it. My Twitter feed, use it. Like, I'm just like throwing my thoughts out from my Twitter feed. What do you think about going to North Africa? I cannot comment on something I don't know, so I cannot tell you if you should go to North Africa or not. If you have a contact, might not be a bad idea. One place you may want to consider actually is Saudi Arabia. They're just throwing money at everything. So think about that at least. But anyways, guys, I'm out. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.